Hey everyone, it's Victoria with Nutrition by Victoria. I have a Master's of Science in Human Nutrition and I'm here to help you build a high functioning metabolism so that you can get and stay effortlessly slim, lean, fit, healthy, all while eating unlimited carbohydrates. So today's video is a mukbang. I am going to eat this super sweet ripe pineapple and talk to you guys about blood sugar. So some of you are like, where's your what I eat in a day video showing, your blood sugar after your meals? Well, that's coming. I've just been really busy lately, especially over this past weekend. So much so that I'm going to share with you some really interesting information about my blood sugar and how I have figured out how to manage it so that I am primed with insulin sensitivity. Because when it comes to weight loss, sustainable weight loss, right? You want to be insulin sensitive, which means that you can pass a glucose tolerance test. If you cannot pass that, that's like the gold standard for insulin sensitivity versus insulin resistance. That means that you need to change some things up in your diet. That means that your diet is not supporting insulin sensitivity, because people can actually have normal blood glucose levels but still fail a glucose tolerance test, and that comes down to the diet and whether or not it's actually supporting insulin sensitivity or insulin resistance. So insulin sensitivity means you have sufficient carbohydrates in your diet and it's a low fat diet and it's consistently containing sufficient carbohydrates. Insulin resistance means that you're under eating carbohydrates and your diet's too high in fat. So when those factors get adjusted, then you can, create that insulin sensitivity in your body so that you can get and stay effortlessly slim, lean, fit, and healthy while eating your unlimited carbohydrates, right? That is what I have done. So I've been tracking my blood glucose over the past week to kind of get an idea of what my own insulin sensitivity is. I did do my own version of a glucose tolerance test over the weekend where I drank sugar in the form of like a syrupy slushy, and I tested my blood glucose after an hour and it was well within normal range. So that was like, yay. I'm definitely insulin sensitive. My body is processing sugar correctly, and insulin is working correctly in my body, but there has been a few things that I've had to troubleshoot out, and I'm going to talk about that in today's video. So first I'm going to eat some more pineapple. First things first though, is I had a night last week where my kids were sick, so I was up throughout the night with them and I didn't get a lot of sleep at all. And that has affected my morning glucose level ever since it happened. So my morning fasted glucose is still coming in within normal range, but it was in the 80s and now it's in the 90s. So I'd like to work back to getting it into the 80s, and that is going to require going to bed early between the hours of 9 to 10 p.m. and getting at least 8 hours of sleep. So lately I've been getting to bed around 10 and getting those 8 hours, but it can take some time. You got to consider, most people are using caffeine, not going to bed early, and not sleeping enough. Imagine what that is doing to your insulin sensitivity, okay? Because mine is definitely impacted by sleep. So I'm also a breastfeeding mom of a 7-month-old, so my sleep has been impaired ever since I had the child. And that's just something that comes with, having a small baby. But I'm glad to see that my fasting glucose is within normal range. The next thing I do want to point out is that doing fasted exercise, which I've been doing experiments, so don't take this as advice because it's definitely not ideal to do fasted exercise. When I've done fasted exercise, I'll take my fasting in the morning and then I'll go do the exercise, just drinking water, not having anything to eat. I'll check my glucose after I've done the exercise and it's elevated. And so I'll give an example. My fasting glucose was 95 the one day. I did the exercise and then it was up to 105. And I was like, I didn't eat anything. But cortisol is making my body make extra sugar for my body to use during the exercise, right? These are things to consider. Now, if I ate something, when I eat, let's say my blood glucose is 94, which it was yesterday. I ate something and then I exercised. After the exercise, my blood glucose was 90. Okay, so there's the difference between eating something before exercise and not eating something before exercise. Not eating before exercise definitely impacts your cortisol. In fact, it can remain elevated throughout the rest of the day too, where your blood sugar readings aren't going to be as good as they could be if you would have ate something prior to that exercise. Same goes for skipping meals. Over the weekend, I was really busy, so my meal timing was not what it normally is. And something I want to mention too is that since I eat a high carb, low fat diet, my blood sugar levels are displaying whether I am in fact insulin sensitive or insulin resistant. The reason why I'm saying that is because if you're eating a low carb diet, a keto diet, a diet insufficient in carbohydrates, and your blood sugar levels are registering as normal, it could be just that you're not putting in enough fuel for your blood sugar levels to even move, okay? The other thing with that, so if you're not putting the sugar in, doesn't have anywhere to go, right? And the other thing with that is that, insulin doesn't have to work if you're not putting any sugar in your body. Well, that's just something to keep in mind. That kind of diet also builds insulin resistance. So then when you go and take your glucose tolerance test and you fail it, that's the reason why. Because your insulin hasn't had to do anything because there hasn't been any sugar in the diet. So the body has been trained to hold that glucose in the blood because insulin isn't working correctly. Its function has been temporarily impaired due to the lack of glucose coming in the diet. So I actually experienced this too. Getting back to the skipping meals thing, right? So I had unintentionally underate actually for the past 2 days. And the reason why I know this is because after dinner I would test my glucose level and it would always be within normal range, which would be under 140 within 2 hours of the first bite of the meal, okay? So the night before, it was like 148. I was like, whoa, this is strange. I didn't think anything of it. And I woke up the next day and my fasting was like 95, which was this morning. No, it was 94. And then this morning, my fasting was 95. But the night before, last night, my blood glucose after my dinner, and I had potatoes, rice, salad wraps, and asparagus, and I didn't eat nearly as much rice as I normally eat. I usually eat 2 cups dry weight of rice, and I barely ate 1 cup. Just to give some reference there. And my blood glucose after 2 hours, and I had done a walk after dinner. So you'd think, okay, she's not eating as much carbs, and she did a walk. I was thinking my blood glucose would come in at like 100, which is normally what it looks like when I eat carbs and then do some exercises. It comes in 100, 110, 120, within an hour after having a meal. Well, I tested my blood sugar and it was 158 2 hours after I had finished dinner. And I was like, why is my blood glucose staying elevated? Then I waited some and it still wasn't coming down. And I'm like, this is so strange because I didn't eat as much carbohydrate and I did exercise. I did the walk and I got the kids all ready for bed and everything. My body was making extra glucose and was putting me in a state of temporary insulin resistance because I underate unintentionally. And I had done this the day before too. So what is going on? And so this is what I did, because you guys are like, oh my God, like she blah, 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 blah. You know, I know what you're thinking. But so I sat there in bed and I ate some Sour Patch Kids. I ate like a handful of watermelon Sour Patch Kids. And then I went to sleep. So I ate the candy, drank a drink of water, and went to sleep. I woke up an hour later to test my blood sugar, and it was 130, which is within normal range after eating something. And I was like, eating sugar lowered my blood sugar because it made my insulin work better. And that's what I was getting at by telling you guys all this, is that sugar makes insulin work better. And that I was actually, my body was signaling glucagon to tell my liver to make more sugar in order to get through the activities that I had done. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. This is insanity. So you have to eat enough. And that's where I'm getting at with this video. Insulin sensitivity is dependent on you eating sufficient carbohydrate calories and eating a low-fat diet. And when you do that, your body's blood glucose levels will stay within normal range. Under eating carbohydrates, doing too much exercise, doing fasted training, and eating a high-fat diet is going to impair your body's ability to regulate your blood glucose levels. Isn't that incredible? I had no idea. So imagine the people walking around, you know, they say a lot of people have insulin resistance. I believe it. Most people skip meals. I know somebody personally who is taking Ozempic right now. Ozempic works to mimic insulin sensitivity at the expense of your pancreatic hormone function. So there's a cost to that. Down the road, I would much rather eat. You have to eat yourself skinny. So the moral of this video is get yourself a glucose meter. I'll put links for the one that I use in the description of this video. And track your blood glucose while you eat a high carb, low fat diet. And try to perform your own glucose tolerance test to see if you're actually insulin sensitive. And then, if you need some help troubleshooting anything, you can click the link in the description of this video and join my coaching group. Or we can do a one-on-one coaching call as well. Anyways, that's it for this video. I'm almost done with my pineapple. I'm going to go finish it up, and I'll see you guys next time. Leave any comments or questions down below as well. Okay? Bye!